apologies if the picture looks a bit grainy and it may be a bit wobbly. Yeah, these guys turned up out of the blue, so I in fact grabbed my smartphone, dashed outside and started filming with that.
Looking for snakehead fish. He's got a few already. Not to leave a mess behind.
I first came to Thailand in 1988, in October of that year. I'd started a business along with another chap in 1982 and we were doing quite well and hadn't really had much in the way of holidays since then. I've been skiing a couple of times and that was about it. I hadn't had a summer style beach holiday, so I decided to take myself off to Thailand for a couple of weeks. I'd always been fascinated by the culture in the Far East, so I thought I'd go and sample it firsthand. I spent 3 days in Bangkok and then the rest of the time in Pattaya. Over the next 8 months. I visited Thailand on 3 more occasions, during which time I got married, got a visa for my new wife and brought her back to England. She had 3 children from a former marriage, and over the course of the first couple of years she was in England, we brought the 3 kids over, starting at the youngest and working up to the oldest. And also we had a son. So as well as gaining a wife, I gained a family very quickly. We remained married for 13 years and split up fairly amicably. We had our differences, but there's no point really slinging mud at each other, and certainly didn't want to get the kids stuck in the middle of it all. So it was all fairly amicable. My stepchildren still call me Dad. We still keep in touch, get on. So why did I eventually leave the UK? Well, soon after I got married, I actually left my business due to disagreements with my fellow directors, and to cut a long story short, the terms of my leaving, which were put in writing, were an absolute pack of lies, and I ended up in debt for something I was no longer responsible for. It left me as a very bitter and cynical person after that. And a certain amount of that probably still remains to this day. I eventually gravitated to working in the transport industry. Firstly in an executive car service, well, various executive car services, and the second half of that I did working on London buses. Working on London transport is a bit of an eye-opener. Any cynicism you may have is amplified 100 times over, both from the interaction with your employers and the customers. I often jokingly used to say that bus drivers on the social scale were ranked somewhere between terrorists and estate agents, which, though I said in jest, probably isn't too far wrong. As the years passed, England seemed to get less and less like the country I was born in and grew up in, and was morphing into something completely different, which on the whole I didn't like. I think the best way I can sum up what my view of it all was from a post I think I saw on Facebook, which basically said, people are meant to be loved and things are meant to be used, not the other way around. And I think we were getting very much to the stage of things were being loved and people were being used. So moving on to 2006, in fact Christmas Eve 2006. Sadly my father passed away on that day. He'd had a triple heart bypass about 18 months previously, which he'd recovered from quite well. But then, rather ironically as it turned out, he decided, along with the next door neighbour who was probably about 6 years older than him, that they would fit a new gate post between the two houses where the two gates were hung. So they were both lugging a big long 6-foot chunk of 4x4 about, and I believe that's probably what did for him in the end, because a couple of weeks afterwards he died. I did a video a few weeks ago about safe driving in Thailand and how to deal with the traffic on the roads. This is a classic case pertaining to the look 15 seconds ahead of you, or as far as possible, rather than what you would normally do if you were driving elsewhere. Oh man. Okay, back to the life history. Not long after my dad died, my mother started showing early signs of dementia, which was something I was concerned about very soon after my dad died, because she wasn't the most sociable of people, and I could see her sitting in the house on her own, not engaging socially with anybody apart from maybe the next door neighbour and the cashier down at Tesco's. And despite my warnings to her, it's exactly what she did, and progressively got worse and worse. Eventually she passed away a couple of years ago, and to be honest, she was pretty close to the point of being sectioned by her GP. So without wishing to sound nasty, it was probably a blessing in disguise. I don't really think she was enjoying her life particularly anyway. So now I'd inherited the family nest egg, such as it was, and my original plans were to move back up to Yorkshire, buy a couple of properties, live in one, rent the other one out, work part-time until I retired. Once I retired, it would be a very serious consideration coming to move to Thailand. However, the more I thought about it, I thought, why the hell don't you just go now? The cost of living so much cheaper. I can't see in the long term it's going to cost me any more money to go now than it would to go in 4 years' time. So that's exactly what I did, and here I am. So hopefully that's given you a brief insight on my journey from London to Chiang Mai. And in future videos we'll outline what I do in Chiang Mai, what I love about the country, why I choose to stay here. Hopefully I haven't bored you all to death, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video in a week's time or so. Please like, share and subscribe. You'll make an old man very happy. Thank you.